And welcome back, guys. It's still time for us to go through. There are still a lot more questions for On the Spot. Next question comes to us from Jack Napier. Jack Napier sent me a question. He says, OTS, he points gun at Spot. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? The answer is twice. The first time was kind of on a bet. The second time was my own fault. I really don't know what I was expecting, but didn't work out very well. So I've danced with the devil in the pale moonlight twice. Would I do it again? Not likely. Would I recommend it? Probably not either. Next question comes to us from Noah Joe. OTS, what do you think of Aquaman? I like him. In the cartoons, I was never a big Aquaman fan. It's surprising, though, that of the figures I collect, I seem to really gravitate towards Aquaman. The DC Universe Aquaman, I really like. He's one of my favorite DC Universe figures. The DC Universe, no, DC Direct, I'm trying to think of the line that had Live Wire in it. That Aquaman was really solid. I like the new 52 Aquaman. It's just something, maybe it's not so much I like Aquaman, I just like the color orange. Maybe that's all it boils down to. But in the Super Friends, Challenge of the Super Friends, or Super Friends Hour, Aquaman really wasn't used very much. He was always helpful whenever it was a water something. Whenever there had something to do with water, good old Aquaman was there. I can tell you he's extremely cheap in Injustice. That I know for a fact. Aquaman is really cheap in Injustice. When he just pokes it with a spear. On playing that on medium or hard, between him and Joker, I have had a couple of moments where I wanted to throw my controller at the TV. Luckily I didn't, though. I didn't. Next question comes to us from John Birtle. OTS, what are some of your favorite Batman the Animated Series episodes? I love Feet of Clay. Was it Feet of Clay? With the Clayface, the two-part episode with Clayface. Love that episode. I like Beware the Grey Ghost. Trying to think of other ones that stand out to me. I like the one where Riddler puts Batman. I'm not going to know all the names of the titles, but I like the one where Riddler puts Batman and Robin inside of a maze, and they have that giant robotic hand that they have to rewire. I also like the first appearance of Mad Hatter. Of course, the first episode of Mr. Freeze. I really like that episode. Let's see if I can think of other ones. Favorite Joker episode? I can't really... nothing really stand... I mean, as a whole, this show, as everybody knows, was a solid cartoon. There were very few bad episodes. There were some episodes I had a tough time watching, but as a whole, there were still a lot of solid episodes. Almost Got 'Em, I think, was one of them. That was a pretty good episode. You know what? Surprisingly, I like a lot of the Gotham Knights, or the Batman and Robin Adventures. What was the last season called? I like a lot of those episodes too. Oh, and also I really like the episode. I was about to describe an episode, and I remembered it was already Beware the Grey Ghost. I really like that episode. You know what? I guess that's... I also really like Over the Edge, where Batgirl is assumed dead and Commissioner Gordon goes after Batman and he enlists the help of Bane. Really like that episode. And I also really like, was it Nighttime, where Superman dresses up as Batman? That's also a really cool episode. I'm going to leave it at that. I think that encompasses everything. My favorite probably is the first appearance of Clayface. That's probably one of my favorite Batman episodes. That and Beware the Grey Ghost. Next question comes to us from Game Dude Beta. He put OST, but what do you like more, Marvel or DC? Easily for me is DC. For as many properties as I've loved from Marvel, I've always and will always be a DC fan. Superman is my favorite superhero. Batman is my next favorite superhero. Spider-Man is probably my third. but the top two for me is Batman and Superman. I think the DC movies haven't been as good. Unfortunately, there hasn't been as many either. The original Christopher Reeve Superman, I love that. Batman Returns, as I've discussed, I love those. The Nolan movies, I give a lot of flack to. It's not that I dislike them, I just feel that they're just too rooted in reality. But yeah, DC. I mean, DC by far. Like, when I was 5 years old, I got a picture somewhere around here, but when I was 5 years old, I got a picture of myself with a Superman cake that my mom made me, and I'm sitting on the lawn, and I have a Mego Superman doll next to me. I'm going to see if I can try to get a picture of that. But yeah, by far, is my favorite is DC, easily. Thank you for your question. Next question comes to us from BatSlayer246. OTS, what Batman, any film, animated, or comic book variation is your favorite? I guess he's probably asking designs. I'm going to say my favorite moment in Batman is, and I can't even remember the artist, but we're talking mid to late 80s, early 90s Detective Comics and Batman comics artist. For me, the peak of when I was collecting, I almost want to say it's around 1985 to 1990 maybe. Around that time frame, there was an artist doing a lot of the DC comics, and that comic style for me, he also did the Death in the Family, so I don't know if that helps at all. But for me, that is probably my ideal Batman. When I think in my head and I go through all my little Rolodex of things, that Batman stands out to me as the Batman. Film, film, I still got to go Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton as my definitive Batman. Nothing against Christian Bale, but Michael Keaton had the best mix, I think, of Bruce Wayne and Batman. And I think he had the best voice for Batman. It wasn't too raspy. It was just right. Animated treatment, I gotta go with Batman animated series. And I guess that's it. I apologize. I apologize if I don't remember artists and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely around the Death of the Family, mid to late 80s, that was probably my favorite time collecting Batman comics. Really, my favorite time collecting comics in general was around that time. So thank you for your question. Next question comes to us from 73, Mr. Roboto. Domo Irrigato, Mr. Roboto. Spot, what do you think of the movie Blade Runner, and do you think there should be a NECA or maybe Soda Toys release of a figure for that movie? You want to hear something? Here, come here. Just between you and me, Mr. Roboto, nobody else is paying attention. Just between you and me, I have never seen all of Blade Runner. I know. I can't believe it either. There are some movies that I've seen enough of them on TV that I think that I've seen all of it. Things like Blade Runner, I've seen a lot on TV. Here in Canada, we had a channel called City TV, and I always used to watch late night movies on it. That's my first exposure to Predator. The funny thing with Predator was I've seen Predator so many times on TV that I didn't realize how gruesome it was until I actually had watched it on VHS the first time. I'm like, what? Because like even when Jesse the Body Ventura gets shot in the beginning and they blow a hole through his chest, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with the guy. You just see this blast, and then you see the Predator walking away, and then you just see him kind of collapse. I'm thinking, what's wrong with him? There's nothing wrong with the guy. And the same thing with, was it Dylan? I think it was Dylan. When he gets his arm blown off. I'm going off topic here, but when Dylan gets his arm blown off, again, that little blast of light, and then he kind of looks around. I'm like, why is he screaming? What is wrong with it? And then I realized his arm was on the ground. So I've never seen all of Blade Runner. I own it on DVD, and just I've never gotten around to watching all of it. I'm ashamed of myself. Do I think that they should release a NECA version of the figure? I'm going to say no. I don't really think it's necessary. Being that the figure is so old, I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of people that would actually want to collect Blade Runner figures. I might be the minority for saying that, but I can't see a lot of people really clamoring to get a Harrison Ford figure from Blade Runner. I would think, if anything, maybe Harrison Ford from like Indiana Jones. But I mean, I know I sound like such a hey, let's jump on the bandwagon, Indiana Jones and Star Wars, but what's wrong with Blade Runner kind of opinion. But I don't know. I don't think a property like Blade Runner was good. And from what I saw of it, it was really, really, I enjoyed it, and I really should get around to watching all of it. But I don't think it's a property that NECA could go back and revisit and sell a lot of figures of. And I know the Rocky figures they've released Rambo, but I almost think Rambo is a little more Americana, and even Rocky, to where people would probably pick it up over, say, Blade Runner figures. That's just my opinion. I'm probably wrong, but that's just my opinion. Next question comes to us from Mr. Pooper 12345678990. OTS, what's your favorite genre of music? I'm going to say rock. Classic rock. Like 80s vintage rock. Like U2. We're talking like big hair bands. Yeah, I totally would rock that. Rock, I would say I like some metal. Like Guns N' Roses, and like old stuff. I'm into the old stuff because I'm an old guy. I'm into old stuff. Next question comes to us from Hanson Cintron, or Cintron. Who is better, Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, or Superman, Christopher Reeve? I haven't seen Henry. I think it's Henry Cavill, isn't it? I haven't seen him in Superman yet because we haven't had the movie released yet. I'm definitely liking what is going on with him so far. For me, so far, until I see Man of Steel, I'm going to say Christopher Reeve. For me, he is iconic Superman. That opinion may change. It may, once Man of Steel is released and I've seen it, and I can't wait to see it. But I'm going to say right now, Christopher Reeve, for me, is iconic. I still remember posters up in my bedroom of Christopher Reeve as Superman. And for me, that is the definitive Superman. Next question comes to us from Versus Seed. If there was a tornado heading your way and you could only save 3 or 5 figures, what would they be? That is a tough question, my friend. I'm going to go with, as it stands right now, until my collection, if anything else is added to the collection later on, I'm going to go with the Hot Toys 1989 Batman, which I know I haven't reviewed. I'm going to say that figure. The DC Superheroes Clayface, which I still love that figure. NECA Cult Classics, Part 4, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees. That's 3. Maybe one of the Terror Dogs, because I know you said only 5. Maybe one of the Terror Dogs from Ghostbusters from the NECA line. And maybe Combat Gizmo from Gremlins. That's my 5. That's the 5 I'm going to go with. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you very much. Next question comes to us from Joey J. Joey J! Out of every DCUC wave, which is your favorite wave? I'm going to say the Gorilla Grodd wave is one of my favorites because I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that had Harley Quinn, even though I didn't like the paint. It had the red. Did it have the red and blue Superman, or was that or was that the Solomon Grundy? I want to think that's the Gorilla Grodd, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. It has Aquaman, I know that. I'm going to say Gorilla Grodd is probably my favorite wave. My second favorite wave is probably Grundy. So Grundy and Gorilla Grodd are probably my 2 favorite waves from DCUC. Next question comes to us from Shattered Psyche, or Psyche. On the spot, who's your favorite DC Comics artist and why? Oh, that goes back to that comment I was going to make before. Can't even remember the guy's name. I apologize. I doubt he's watching this video. I have nothing to worry about. But it's the comic artist from DC, from the Detective Comics and Batman run from, let's say, mid 80s to late 80s. He also did the Death in the Family. He also was known to draw Joker with a very elongated jaw. I'm going to say that's my favorite artist. My second favorite is, I like Jim Lee quite a bit. And I also really like Scott Campbell, which I think he did Danger Girl. He does fantastic artwork. Oh, incredible, incredible artwork. So I'm going to say those are my three favorite artists. I'm going to actually wrap this up here because I don't want to eat too much time into each video where you guys are sitting for long periods of time. We might as well spread that out, spread the love a little bit out. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Certainly when we come back, though, there's going to be a lot more answers to your questions for On the Spot. So stay tuned.